What is an automated market maker? Well, an automated market maker allows traders to buy and sell certain coins using an algorithm that dictates how expensive something should be based on how much of it there is. As someone buys one asset, it gets more and more expensive because there's less of it. And as they give it another asset, it gets cheaper and cheaper because there's more of it. Basically, it's supply and demand, but it's using an algorithm instead of the traditional method which uses a person. Welcome to Crypto Codebreaker, your gateway to unraveling the mysteries of cryptocurrency. Don't forget to show your support by liking the video and hitting that subscribe button. Here, we explain topics of the cryptocurrency world using analogies, stories, and examples so that you can easily understand them. Let's dig in. Say you grow potatoes for a living. You're tired of seeing potatoes all over the place at work and then eating more potatoes when you get home. You don't need any more potatoes, even though there are fun ways to cook them. The really bad news is that you live in a town of potato farmers, so you can't really trade your potatoes for anything else. You think to yourself, I'd like to trade my potatoes for apples or something else. Then a trader with a boat shows up and says, I found a village over to the east that grows apples and they're tired of them. I'm here to see if you want to put money into a trade. So, since your wish came true, you tell the seller yes because you don't want the chance to go away. He told me that the apple farmers have given me an extra 50,000 apples to trade for potatoes. Let's begin if you can give me 50,000 potatoes. So your village has a meeting and they decide to join the trader in exchanging apples and potatoes. The trader goes, here's the thing though, I have a magical genie with me that will store all 50,000 apples and all 50,000 potatoes in his magical lamp to keep safe. That way, they don't go bad. But he wants to keep a perfect ratio of the value of both of these. The trader goes on, since together we put in 50,000 apples and 50,000 potatoes, he wants both of these numbers to always multiply to equal 2.5 billion, which is equal to 50. 0 times 50,000. This way, if 1 year there are less apples, the apples will cost more to buy. If you don't understand what the magical fairy said, it's the formula for a constant product automated market maker, which is a type of automated market maker. The opposite formula is used, x times y equals k. Well, x and y are the amounts of the things you have, where k is a fixed number that doesn't change. K is 2.5 billion in this case. Here's another example that might help you understand it a little better. There are exactly equal numbers of potatoes and apples right now. The seller says, that's only because I set the price at $1 each. Since one of these might be worth more when you start selling, it should be priced higher than $1. I will show you an example to show you how it works. Alright, so right now, there are 50,000 apples and 50,000 potatoes. And the number of both of those must equal 2.5 billion when multiplied. So, let's say a potato farmer comes along with 7,000 potatoes to trade, because they really want some apples. So he gives them to the genie, and he waits while the genie figures out how many apples to give him. So now we have 57,000 potatoes in the genie's lamp. But we need to know how many apples to give the potato farmer. So let's start with some math. So we take 2.5 billion, and we divide it by 57,000. You might be wondering why. Well, hopefully you'll see in a second. The answer we get to this math question is 43,859. So this is the number of apples that should be left over in the magical genie's lamp. However, right now, there's 50,000. So we just need to find out the difference and give the difference to the potato farmer. Well, the difference is 6,140. So we give the potato farmer 6,140 apples. You may be thinking why we gave away 7,000 potatoes, but only got about 6,000 apples in return. For some reason, apples cost more as more people bought them. That's why the farmer didn't get back all 7,000 apples. The genie's lamp now has 57,000 potatoes and 43,859 apples in it. We should make sure we didn't bother the genie. When you multiply 57,000 by 43,859, you get 2.5 billion. So the genie is still pleased. I hope this is starting to make sense. I think we should give ourselves a big thumbs up if you made it this far in my explanation of how an automatic market maker works without using any technical terms. Before we go on to the next case, let's quickly go over how to find out how much each asset costs in dollars. So, assume that there was $50,000 worth of apples in the beginning. Since the magical genie said he priced them at $1 and there was 50,000 of them. So we just need to keep 50,000 as a constant when we're calculating their value. This is how much each asset should equal. So potatoes would be 50,000 over 57,000 because that's how many potatoes we have. Which brings their price to 87.7 pennies for each potato. You might be wondering, why did they drop from $1? Well, it's because someone brought a lot more of them to the genie. It's basic supply and demand. For example, if you could grow gold on trees in your backyard, gold would suddenly be a lot cheaper because there's a lot more of it. The more there is in the genie's lamp, the less they will cost. In the future, I will call it a cash pool instead of a genie's lamp. Let's now figure out how much the apples cost. After doing the math, this comes out to $50,000 more than 43,859. This means the apples are worth $1.14. Because there are fewer of them in the cash pool, their price went up. Because this dealer of potatoes put a lot of potatoes into the liquidity pool and took out a lot of apples, the price of apples went up and the price of potatoes went down. Formula X times Y equals K basically shows this because of supply and demand. Now I personally learned from examples, and this concept took me a week of studying to fully understand. So let's go over another example. Let's say a potato farmer brings up another 10,000 potatoes. So now there are 67,000 potatoes in the pool. We need to know how many apples to give that potato farmer. So we use our constant of 2.5 billion divided by 67,000, and we get 37,313. This means that there should be 37,313 apples in the pool, but right now we have 43,859. So we just calculate the difference and give it to the potato farmer, which is 6,546. This time, the potato farmer paid even more for his apples since he kept buying them up. The liquidity pool charges more and more for them. That way, it never runs out of stock. The price will exponentially keep going up as he buys more. So now there are 67,000 potatoes and 37,313 apples in our liquidity pool. Both of these numbers multiply to 2.5 billion, so the genie, which is actually the algorithm, is happy. It's time to figure out the price. When you split $50,000 by 67,000 potatoes, you get 74.6 pennies. They went down even more. Next, take $50,000 and split it by 37,313 apples. This tells us that each apple is now worth $1.34. Their price went up. We saw that there were more potatoes than before, so the price went down again. There were also fewer apples than before, which made the price go up. You should now have a better idea how an automatic market maker works. The price goes up when more and more people buy it. Because there are fewer apples, they cost more. And when it comes to price, the algorithm always wants what it holds to be worth 50/50ths. Even if you multiply the price of each asset by the number of assets in the liquidity pool, you would still get $50,000 worth of apples and $50,000 worth of potatoes. Let's do one more example really quick, just to drive it home. This time, an apple farmer comes along with 2,000 apples. So he adds them to the liquidity pool, and now there are 39,313 apples. But we need to figure out how many potatoes to give him. If you want to, you can pause this video and try to come up with a number on your own, just for fun. Leave a comment of what you come up with in the comment section below. Taking 2.5 billion and dividing it by 39,313 gets us 63,592, which is the number of potatoes that should be in the pool. As of now, there are still 67,000 potatoes, and the pool only wants $63,592. So we give the apple farmer the difference, which is 3,488 potatoes. In the end, the farmer gave away 2,000 apples and got 3,478 potatoes. This was because his apples were very important at the time. Now, those cases were quickly gone over. You can watch them again at the beginning of this video. If you're still not sure what's going on, you should watch our movie about how liquidity pools work. But one thing I want you to know is that a real liquidity pool can sometimes have up to millions of dollars worth of assets in it. And you should know, the more money that is in a liquidity pool, the stabler the price is. If there were 500,000 apples and 500,000 potatoes, and you still only wanted to trade around 2,000 apples, the price difference wouldn't change as much as we saw in our example, because the amount of apples you were trading in proportion to the amount of apples in the pool was a very small amount. Now, also, you should know that liquidity pools reward investors, and the investors are the people who put up the money into the liquidity pool in the first place. They give those investors a small fraction of each trade that happens on their platform. Now, this is less than 1% of each trade, but if someone trades several times a day, those numbers add up quickly. It can also make money for the owner. You should also know that liquidity pools can quickly become very hard to understand. Because what if another trader showed up and wanted to add 50,000 apples and 50,000 potatoes from the towns he had found? How can we make sure that buyers can get their money back when the price changes? What about if we find a pineapple farmer and we want to add him to the trading pool? Well, there are answers to these questions, but they're for a different video, as this one has come to its end. We try to keep these videos short and very simple to understand. So if you want to learn more, consider subscribing to watch our future videos or checking the playlist in the description for similar topics. Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope that you learned something, and we hope to see you in the next video.